You've probably heard a million times that you need to take massive action to get huge results, right? But what if I told you the real secret to insane growth is actually hidden in the smallest, tiniest choices you make every single day? Well, that's exactly the powerful idea we're going to unpack right now.
Seriously, how can a tiny effort, something you barely even notice, completely transform your life a year from now? It sounds impossible, doesn't it? I mean, think about your biggest goals. Maybe it's acing a brutal exam or finally mastering a new coding language. The whole thing just feels massive. But what if the way we've been taught to attack these big goals is completely wrong?
Boom! There's your answer. This is what happens if you get just 1% better every single day for a year. You don't end up 365% better, you end up almost 38 times better. And no, that is not a typo. It's the magic of compound interest, but instead of for your money, it's for your own personal growth.
Okay, so how is that even possible? It all comes down to a really simple but powerful idea I like to call the 37 by formula. And the rule itself? Well, it's incredibly simple. The whole philosophy is built on this one little commitment. Just find a way to get a tiny, tiny bit better today than you were yesterday. That's it. No epic plans, no overwhelming changes. Just a small, consistent push forward. Every single day.
Now I know what you might be thinking. Just 1%? Come on, that's way too simple. But you gotta understand, this idea flies in the face of how most of us chase our dreams. We fall into something I call the big goal trap, and it's pretty much the #1 reason we fail and burn out.
This slide really says it all, doesn't it? Over on the left, you've got that classic all-or-nothing mindset. I'm going to study 10 hours a day. You know, a heroic effort that's pretty much doomed from the start. But on the right, you have the 1% approach. It's this calm, steady, and actually sustainable climb. One of these paths leads to burnout, the other leads to that 37x growth we were talking about.
So let's get real about why this go big or go home strategy almost always fails. We start with this huge burst of motivation, right? But it's just not sustainable. We get tired really fast. Then we miss a day, we feel like a total failure, and by the end of the week, the whole plan is in the trash. It is the perfect recipe for burnout.
So if that big goal approach is a trap, what's the secret sauce that makes the 1% rule actually work? Well, the answer is one of the most powerful forces in the universe, and believe it or not, it has nothing to do with money. It's the power of compounding.
Yeah, just like interest in a bank account, your efforts build on themselves. Yesterday's 1% improvement, that's the new starting line for today's 1% improvement. So your gains aren't just adding up one by one, they are literally multiplying.
Just look at this growth curve. On day 1, the improvement is so tiny you probably won't even feel it. And honestly, that's where most people give up. But stick with it. By day 30, as you can see, the progress starts to become noticeable. You actually start to feel the momentum. And by day 365, the transformation is absolutely massive. The big results are all at the end, and the only way to get there is consistency. Okay, so that's the theory. Awesome. But how do we actually do this? Let's get practical and build your 1% daily plan, especially if you're a student staring down exams and a mountain of assignments.
So if you're a computer engineering student, finding your 1% isn't some huge, complicated task. It can be as simple as this. Instead of trying to build a whole new app from scratch, just learn one new function. Or instead of trying to master a new programming language in a week, just debug one extra little problem. See? These are small, totally achievable wins.
And the exact same logic works for prepping for those competitive exams. Forget about trying to force yourself to study for 8 hours straight. I mean, what about just solving 5 extra multiple choice questions? Or spending 10 minutes just to revise one core formula until it's really locked in your brain? That's your 1%. That's the win for the day.
All right, we've come to the most important part of this whole thing. Starting. Not tomorrow, not next week when things calm down. Today. It's all about building a streak and making consistency your new superpower. It really is this simple. First, just pick one thing. Seriously, just one. Don't make it complicated. Second, you gotta track it. Put a big X on a calendar, use an app, whatever works. Seeing that chain of X's grow becomes incredibly motivating. And finally, your only job is to not break the chain. So here we go. This is your task for right now. Think back to those lists for coding or math, or come up with your own. I want you to pick the smallest, easiest thing you can possibly do to get 1% better. And then I want you to do it today, before your head hits the pillow. That's it. That's how this whole thing kicks off.
And this quote right here,
This captures the entire mindset shift you need to make. Just stop chasing perfection. It's an illusion, and it just leads to you not doing anything. Instead, every single morning, ask yourself this one simple question. How can I be just a little bit better than I was yesterday?
When you get right down to it, it all boils down to this one beautiful formula. A habit so small it feels almost insignificant, multiplied by daily consistency, over a long period of time, equals results that are so massive they look like magic. But it's not magic, it's just math.
So I'll leave you with this one question. Forget about the giant scary goals for a minute. Forget all the pressure and the stress. Just think about tomorrow. What is the one tiny, simple thing you can do to be just 1% better? That single choice, that's where your transformation begins.